Thank you, Jolie. And Mike, could we have the pictures on of the rest of the board members? Because I'd like to introduce them. Thanks. So the California Pilots Association has been around since 1949, as Jolie mentioned, and our mission is to preserve, protect, and promote aviation in the state of California, of course, and beyond, because I know we fly beyond California, but that's our mission. And we have many volunteers throughout the state who are helping us. So let's just introduce a few of them now. Patrick Wallner, I think you've already met. He's the VP for Way Northern California. And then we have Gil Wright. Gil, your camera isn't on, but Gil is in Sacramento area. He's VP for Region 2. VP for Region 3 is Doug Rice. And VP for Region 4 is the illustrious Jolie Lucas. And then in VP number 5, Ed Story. Hello, Ed. And then VP number 6 is Gary Shank. Hi, Gary. You can wave. And so thank you all for being with us. There's Gil. There's Andy. Andy is the Director at Large for Region 2. And Jim Pinkowski, also here but not pictured, is the Director at Large for Region 2. We're missing a Director at Large for Region 1. And let's see, and then there's Ed, there's Jim, and who else are we missing?
Karen Kahn could not attend today.
Thank you very much. And also Bill Sanders, he's the Director at Large for Region 6, and he is not able to be here today. And Peter Albies, I mentioned earlier, he's the Director at Large for Region 5. And unfortunately, he had a stroke the other day and he's in the hospital, though he's expected to make a complete recovery, and we send him good wishes for good health. And also our treasurer, Walt Wells, is not here today. He wasn't able to join us. He does live in Hawaii, so there's a 3-hour time difference too, but he couldn't come. But I'm going to give you the treasurer's report now. Walt tells me we're completely solvent, and I think that's really good news. So the next thing, let's see, we have, I'm sorry, I have a lot of papers here. We're assembling for the election and the meeting. And we did mention during these talks, Furnace Creek and Stovepipe Wells. Again, I'm going to tell you that we need to have support for those airports, and the best thing to do, you could contact the national parks, but they're really impervious to doing anything about it. But the Congress could, so it would be good to talk to your congressperson, man or woman. And now it says here that I should give a summary of your background. So Doug, would you like to give a 1-minute summary of your background, or 30 seconds, and pass it on to Patrick?
Okay, I don't want to take that much time, but a 51-year pilot, 42 years with the carriers. The aircraft I'm flying right now is the one you see in the background behind me. Based at San Jose, handling Region 3, currently involved intimately with the Reed Hillview and Tahoe Valley situations. Not quite as intimately right now with Oakland and the landing fee situation, but I continue to assist in various ways. Also currently involved in a number of airspace issues with both the Oakland Center and the Bay TRACON, or the NorCal TRACON as it's now known. And very busy in retirement, so enjoying that, but I'll turn it over to Patrick.
Thank you, Doug. My name is Patrick Wallner from Redding, California, Region 1 Vice President. My involvement with Cal Pilots leads me more to the administrative side with policy, bylaws, procedures. I've been involved in a few things, but not on a higher level like Gil and Doug have been doing lately. And my hats off to you guys for your focus and the making headway. I also am involved with a lot of non-aviation related issues through my industry and my community, and And I'm fortunate enough to have a great team and company that allows me to spend time with Cal pilots and other groups. So thank you. And I'll turn that back over to Carol.
Thank you. So we're going to have Gary give just a brief, 15 seconds, and then we'll move on to Andy, Gil, and Ed. So Gary.
Yeah, hi, Gary Shank. I flew for Northwest Delta for 28 and a half years. I own a Bonanza. I'm also a practicing attorney, and I'm working heavily with the General Aviation Improvement Program at Orange County, which is really the get rid of little guys and make room for BizJet program. So I'm heavily involved in making sure we little guys can stay at Orange County.
Thank you, Gary. Andy, could you unmute?
There we go. So been with Cal Pilots for about 15 years. Opposed a number of projects throughout the state of California, and most we've won. Private pilot with an instrument rating, been flying since about 82, no longer flying now, not current. Age and health has taken me off that little seat. So right now I'm redesigning the website. It's up and running. We've had a number of compliments on it. Our membership, still working on that. Getting our MailChimp messages out. You'll see more of those in the near future. And I think I usually I do field problems throughout the state. Try to help people there, guide them through the process that they're just not familiar with the process. So, and that's our role in the 3-tier system of approaching problems at airports. That would be the local pilots or chapters, and then there's the Cal Pilots group within the state of California, and then of course AOPA is the third leg of the stool to try to save airports. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Gil, give us a little background on you. I mentioned you're in Sacramento.
Yeah, that's true. Thank you very much, Carol and Andy. I actually came to Cal Pilots through my EAA chapter many years ago when Cal Pilots had its annual meeting at Executive Airport, and was working at that time with the Association of California Airports and my EAA chapter, helping to promote Aviation Awareness Day at the Capitol. And since then have evolved to learning how to protect airports, the issues that go on, the complexities of that. Have been very much involved in the last 2+ years with what's going on at Reed Hillview and the complex issues of land use, the very important aspects of keeping the San Jose State University operational as a flight training center, not only flight training, but personnel training for aviation in our industry, which is critical shortage. I've also been digging very deeply into what's the emerging electrification of aviation with eVTOLs. Many of them are being built here in California, or re-engineering aircraft like a Cessna Caravan with electric motors, or also advanced flight control systems that would allow those birds to be flying in the national airspace with cargo. There is flight testing going on here in California to that effect right now. And we're probably going to see some of these technologies flying in California beginning in 2024. And so I'm keeping on top of that, and more to come in the future. Thank you, Carol.
Thank you so much, Gil. Ed, briefly,
Sure.
introduce yourself.
My name's Ed Story. I've been a pilot for over 40 years. I've been long involved with the Santa Monica Airport Association, which is a continuing issue. I'm also involved in Southern California Airspace Users Working Group. I used to be on the board of the Professional Helicopter Pilots Association. I passed on that. I'm still involved with the California Disaster Airlift Response Team, and more recently, more involved with Eco Aviation Foundation, in which we're also very interested in eVTOLs and all manners of electric aviation. So I'm handling most of the greater Los Angeles area in Region 5. And thank you, Carol.
Thanks. Okay, last one, Jim Binkowski, would you like to tell us where you are? Oh, no, and Jolie, would you like to tell us where you are and how you help us?
Is it Jim or Jolie?
No,
Oh,
Jim first.
Well, all right, I'm a director at large in Region 5, and I've been a pilot and an airplane owner for about 20 years now, and very active as a member and as a board of director in the local EAA chapter. Been active with Gil in promoting and operations for air shows like the one in Marysville, California Capital Air Show. And in my background as a chemist, I have recently done a deep dive into the new GAMI G100 unleaded fuel, and been presenting that to our EAA chapter. A presentation worked up for that, and it was a good fit. I also worked with Andy a little bit about airport issues associated with an explosion that occurred at a power plant. And that was another technical thing that I was able to get my arms around. And so I appreciate the opportunity to do those sorts of things for Cal Pilots. And thank you for having me on board.
Before we get to Jolie, last but not least, I just want to mention that this is an opportunity to see all the people who volunteer their time to help airports in the state. Jolie, would you like to introduce your cat first and unmute and tell us where you are and how you help? It's quite obvious how she helps, but
Oh
you
my
can talk.
gosh. Thank you so much, Carol. This is Lorelei, and I became an empty nester in July, but Lorelei could not go to San Francisco State with my son. So she is here, and she usually joins me when I'm on session with clients. So I guess she's wanting to give her little black cat magic around Halloween. My name is Jolie Lucas. I'm a Mooney owner, an instrument and commercial pilot. I'm based in Santa Maria. Oceano Airport is probably, my jewel in terms of my volunteer work. We're a proud chapter of California Pilots Association, and our goal there is to keep Oceano an airport. It's been quite a challenge, particularly over the last several years, where we get developers, et cetera, who want to bulldoze our airport and redevelop it for commercial use. So right now we are sort of locked in fight with our Coastal Commission. We have some enterprise funds that we're going to be used to refurbish our campground so that we can have our events there and we can have a day use area as well as camping. And there was some folks in the community who are really, just part of the United States agreements, like everything that they can complain about, they complain about. And so they went to the Coastal Commission, and right now they stopped our application. So we have a meeting coming up in November where we are going to, as a board and interested parties, are going to be going to the airport and meeting with the Coastal Commission to help them to understand that, making our campground a wonderful place to be it really benefits our community. Oceano Airport is an economic engine for our small town. And then we do have our charitable aspects of our airport with our Toys for Tots, our Veterans Salute, and our fly-in movie night every year. So I'm glad to be here. And eventually here, I've got some Vanna White duties after our meeting in a few moments.
Thank you. Thank you. So you see, everyone, how we're throughout the state. And Gary is in Orange County and Bill is in San Diego area. He couldn't be here today. And so Jolie also put in a few announcements about Oceano. And I already mentioned about Whiteman. Now, is it possible, I don't know if this is possible, Mike Jesh, is it possible to have Michael Z from South Lake Tahoe speak? Is it possible for attendees to speak?
I think it's possible. Give me a second here and I'll.
Okay. And
okay.
because there he is. Hi, Michael. The first thing I'd like you to do is introduce yourself and properly pronounce your name so that I can be more educated.
Yes, my name is Michael Ziak, and I've
Ziak.
been, yes, correct. And I've
Thank
been
you.
up in South Lake Tahoe. I learned to fly up here about 22 years ago, and I've been up here ever since.
Thank you. And Michael contacted our, for want of a better word, hotline, and I spoke to him briefly, and then he had more questions, and I suggested that Michael speak to some people in the FAA, but there were more issues, and I asked Doug, our Vice President for Region 3, to talk to him, and he did. So Michael and Doug, if you'd like to briefly talk about this, because we have some other, we have to do the election. So just a minute or two, if you'd like to talk about this, you two.
I'll defer to Doug.
Thank you, Michael.
The punt has been received. Okay. In sum, there's a number of issues regarding finances at the airport at Lake Tahoe. It's a very complicated issue, unlike some of ours, in that City Hall has been moved into the terminal building in South Lake Tahoe. And one of the things we have discovered is that City Hall had no snow days last year, meaning that they had access to the terminal and to parking for the entire year. But the airfield was closed for between 3 and 4 weeks because the snowplow was out of service. However, nobody diverted the public works snowplows to come to the airport and plow the runways and taxiways. That's one of the items. The other item is financial in that they're trying to double the hangar rent, but at the same time, as we found out, and as was put out there in the public, which was really nice by the city's consultant, they diverted $189,000 from the users to pay for custodial, janitorial, and utilities for the City Hall. So City Hall gives on the one hand, takes on the other hand, but in effect, they're taking money from the users to support City Hall. And they don't understand that that's quite illegal. The other options, for example, the city owns and maintains all the ramp space on the airport. However, the city gets none of the daytime parking or overnight fees, which we estimate at over $100,000 a year. So between those two items alone, the airport is not only solvent, but it offsets the rate increase for the hangar tenants. So we'll be going before the city council on Tuesday in public comment. We've asked them to agendize this. They have not done so at this point. So we will go in public comment and suitably bring these items up to them, and hopefully they will hold the rent raise in abeyance and give a chance for everybody to converse and address this.
Do you, Michael and Doug, do you want more people to attend? Should we put in the chat how you could attend by Zoom, and maybe they could make comments or at least be supportive of the airport?
I have not been able to determine if there is a mechanism for Zooming into the meeting. I did put in a request for that and have not received any information about it.
Thank you, Michael. If you find out differently, would you let us know, and then we'll try to spread the word.
Thank you very much.
Okay, good. So now let's do our piece of business. We have a board recommendations for nominations for different positions. I'll tell you the positions that are open, and then I'm going to turn it over to Patrick. So the VP number 1 is up for re-election, and maybe you should do this, Patrick.
Sure, Carol. So we have an uncontested slate of directors and officers, and I'll go through them real quick. Region 1, myself, 2-year term. Region 2, Gil Wright, 2-year term. Region 2,
3, my
3,
typo.
right, Doug Rice. Region 4, Jolie Lucas, and these are all 2-year terms. Region 5, Ed Story. and Region 6 VP Gary Shank. We also have Director at Large for Region 2, Jim Pinskowski, and our President, Carol Ford. So seeing that there is I guess we would ask if there's any nominations from the floor.
We'll give it a beat.
Sure, and I'll ask one more time if there's any nominations from the floor. And I check chat real quick. Nope. So with that, Madam President, I would move that the board call for a vote by acclamation to elect all directors and vice presidents and our president as I just named. So that's a motion.
Okay, so do we raise our hands? I vote yes.
I will
Well, I
second that.
think
I
we
will
need a
second that
second.
motion.
Thank
Good.
you.
Thank you for seconding the motion. Now we're going to call the question. Now, Carl, who just mentioned in the chat, do we need to have everyone in the chat vote? Or can it by acclamation is sufficient?
Acclamation, since there is no contest, no contest, that acclamation would elect everybody on the ballot.
Thank you.
The other way is to ask the secretary treasurer, which we don't currently have, to cast a white ballot to vote in by acclamation.
Carl says in the chat, acclamation is okay because there's no contest. So thank you, everybody. And I'm graciously accepting another term. And here are your officers for next year as you've just been introduced. Thank you all so much. Yes, Patrick, do you want to say something else?
Oh, I just put my hand up to vote affirmative.
Okay. So are there any other announcements? I think we've covered, one more thing, Reed Hillview. Yes, 2 of our board members, Gil, whom you heard from, and Doug attend every meeting that has to do with Reed Hillview. And we are working assiduously to help save that airport. And I would say, don't give up yet. And furthermore, it's not slated to be closed for several more years, 8. And in the meantime, a lot can happen, and we're working towards that. Now, separately, I'm going to give you a Political Action Committee report. The Political Action Committee, which is separate from Cal Pilots, has given donations to 2 candidates in Santa Clara County. One is for the new mayor of San Jose, who we have backed. Mark, what's his name? Mahan? Is it Mark?
Mahan.
And yeah, but what's his first name?
Matt.
Oh, Matt Mahan.
Matt
Sorry,
Mahan.
got my M's confused. And then we also nominated for backed for supervisor a person named Johnny Kimmy. Thank you. Sorry with those names. So thank you all. Are there any other announcements before we leave? Yes, Jolie.
I just
You're
wanted
mute.
to,
Yeah.
thank you. So Cal Pilots received a generous donation, and we decided that we would start a scholarship, aviation scholarship for a Cal Pilots member starting in 2023. So I wanted to be able to announce that we will be offering a $500 scholarship for, whether it's private pilot or additional rating or certificate for a California Pilots Association member. And we hope that it's going to be an ongoing event. And I'm also seeking folks from the board, or if we have any Cal Pilots members who would like to sit on the scholarship committee, please contact me either in the chat or afterwards.
Okay.
Carol,
Yes.
if I may, you made a comment regarding South Lake Tahoe. There is a Zoom link on page 1 of the agenda packet with the meeting number and all the information. So if anybody wants to look that up, just search City of South Lake Tahoe Council Agenda. The Zoom link is on there for public comment, and it is early on in the agenda. The meeting starts at 9 a.m.
Somebody put it in the chat. So the link to the city council meeting in the chat, but thank you for pointing out where the Zoom link is. I will be unable to attend, but anybody who can attend and support the airport, that would be great. Thanks, everyone. Any other messages before we adjourn? Yes, Gil?
One other thing on a political note is with the election in U.S. Congressional District 18, which there's two candidates, and Carol's shaking her head no. Okay.
That's right. I'm shaking my head no. We're not participating in that. So, but
Okay.
thank you for the effort. Okay, I think that's the end of our meeting. And I thank you all for everyone's participation.